British destroyer opens fire in the Pacific as part of World War III preparations. A British naval destroyer has opened fire in the Pacific as part of a successful live-fire exercise to ensure its combat readiness as fears of World War III continue to grow. HMS Dauntless, one of the Royal Navy's 6 Type 45 destroyers, played a role in Operation Highmast on July 6. Operation Highmast is an 8-month task group mission led by the HMS Prince of Wales, and supported by ships, aircraft, and personnel from over a dozen allied nations. The deployment spans the Mediterranean, Middle East, and Indo-Pacific, culminating in joint exercises with key regional partners. As a whole, it involves over 4,500 British military personnel, which consists of around 2,500 Royal Navy sailors and Royal Marines, as well as 600 Royal Air Force personnel and 900 soldiers. Alongside large-scale training serials, the task group will also act as support for diplomatic port visits and to promote UK defence exports. HMS Dauntless was spotted engaging floating targets as part of a combat readiness drill. It could be seen using general-purpose machine guns GPMG, heavy machine guns HMG and 30mm cannons to engage floating targets as the vessel escorted the UK carrier strike group on its first flagship deployment of the year. Royal Navy Type 45 destroyers and other ships utilize 30mm cannons for close-in defense against threats like fast attack craft and drones. Specifically, the DS-30M Mk2, an automated 30mm naval gun system, is employed. This system, featuring the Mk44 Bushmaster 2 cannon, is designed to engage targets at short ranges and is part of the ship's overall defensive capabilities. The HMS Dauntless, currently commanded by Commander Ben Dorrington, has been in action since it was first launched in Govan back in January 2007, before it was formally handed over in December 2009, and commissioned into the Royal Navy in June 2010. It is a 152.4-meter-long guided missile destroyer with a displacement of between 8,000 and 8,500 tons. The ship is designed primarily for fleet-wide air defense, powered by 2 Rolls-Royce WR21 gas turbines and 3 MTU diesel generators, driving 2 converting electric motors which help it achieve a top speed exceeding 30 knots. Her combat effectiveness is impressive, boasting a range of over 7,000 nautical miles and 18 knots, holding a crew of 191 with berths of up to 235. Meanwhile, the Royal Navy aircraft carrier the HMS Prince of Wales has completed its maiden visit to Australia, having taken part in a major military exercise. The fleet flagship has now set off for Japan in the next stop of its 8-month Indo-Pacific deployment. The £3 billion warship sailed from Portsmouth in April for the mission, which involves visits with 40 countries across the Mediterranean, Middle East, Southeast Asia, Japan and Australia. A Royal Navy spokesman said that the carrier had sailed from Darwin, having taken part in the Talisman Sabre exercise as well as acting as a host for diplomatic visits, including from representatives of the indigenous Larrakia people. The flagship hosted a string of senior British and Australian politicians, including Defence Secretary John Healey and Foreign Secretary David Lammy, his Australian counterpart Penny Wong and Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles. The aircraft carrier has also served as the impressive setting for a business and industry event, discussing the growing importance of defence links between London and Canberra. And the 2,500-plus personnel in the task group have enjoyed downtime to explore the largest city in Australia's Northern Territory. Royal Navy destroyer HMS Dauntless neutralizes mass drone attacks in live fire exercise. HMS Dauntless has completed a high-intensity live-fire training exercise off the Welsh coast, engaging a range of uncrewed air and surface threats in preparation for participation in the Carrier Strike Group CSG-25 deployment to the Indo-Pacific. The ship's company have spent the last 2 weeks operating from Devonport, undergoing an Operational Training and Assurance Period OATP, which is effectively top-up training for generated platforms that have already passed. This is focused on the ship's next tasking and is also used to assure ship's internal training systems are working. Exercise Sharpshooter, held off the Ministry of Defence Aberporth Range in Cardigan Bay, served as the final test in Dauntless training package and was designed to replicate the kind of complex, sustained attacks currently being faced by warships in contested regions such as the Red Sea. The Type 45 destroyer engaged a mix of real and simulated threats, including jet-propelled Banshee UAS 200 knots, Hammerhead USV 40 knots targets, and persistent virtual attacks to test her sensor suite, combat systems, and layered defenses. This exercise marks the first time a Type 45 has faced and defeated a complex mix of drone threats at this scale. It follows a similar threat profile to that encountered by HMS Diamond in the Red Sea in 2023, when she successfully intercepted multiple Houthi-launched missiles and drones, including the first use of the Sea Viper system to destroy a ballistic missile in combat. Dauntless responded to the attacks using her full defensive gunnery arsenal. The Phalanx close-in weapon system, 30mm cannon, and 4.5-inch guns were employed against fast-moving aerial and surface targets. The embarked Wildcat helicopter also launched laser-guided Martlet missiles which can destroy small targets at up to 6 km range. Additional instrumented static targets were placed at sea to provide data capture on weapon effectiveness and engagement performance. This information will feed into ongoing test and evaluation efforts, improving future iterations of Royal Navy tactics and systems development. The scenario was structured to apply pressure on the crew over extended periods, with attacks taking place by day and night, mimicking the fatigue and operational strain of real deployments. The exercise confirmed that Dauntless is ready to operate as a fully capable air defense platform within the Carrier Strike Group. HMS Dauntless, British destroyer, opens fire in the Pacific as part of World War III preparations. A British naval destroyer has opened fire in the Pacific as part of a successful live-fire exercise to ensure it combat readiness as fears of World War III continue to grow. HMS Dauntless, one of the Royal Navy's 6 Type 45 destroyers, played a role in Operation Highmast on July 6. Operation Highmast is an 8-month task group mission led by the HMS Prince of Wales, and supported by ships, aircraft, and personnel from over a dozen allied nations.